on the days that I have insomnia, whether that be from kids waking me up multiple nights a week, which was my week this week. So it wasn't like a physiologic insomnia, but more that I wasn't sleeping well because my kids were awake. Or it's because of insomnia when you're kind of in that state of mind. I don't take any of my thoughts seriously. None of them. Like, I don't trust my brain when I've had insomnia. So, and that's because you're in a heightened state of arousal, because you didn't get good sleep. And so what I do, and I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but what I do is I say, that feels like kind of an anxious thought. So I'm going to shelf it. I'm going to put that for a different day. And when I'm well rested, I'm going to be able to think through that problem. Or I'm not going to try and solve this problem right now because really it's not a problem, but my brain thinks it's a problem. Does that make sense? And so I call them grace days, and I do this for my kids too. Like, I know this feels like a really big deal, but we're just going to put that on the shelf for right now. And we'll figure this out, but it's not going to be today. And on days that they're really crabby or they're not feeling well, it's the same thing. So I would, on those days after you've had insomnia, just make it a grace day. Like, today is going to be about rest. It's going to be about, going for a walk with my kids and taking things really easy. It's just that with any marathon, you have to pace yourself, right? You're not running a sprint the whole time. Some of that you can outrun somebody else, and other times you have to hang back and just pace yourself and let your body restore, before you can make another sprint. And so I would think about the days after insomnia like that. Today is a day of rest. I'm going to let my body reset itself. And I do this, like this week, my kids just were not sleeping well for various reasons. And so I could have been like militant and been like, we're cleaning the house and the laundry is a mess and everything is falling apart, which is what was happening in my brain, by the way. And I was just like, no, today is going to be a day of rest. If I don't get all my work done, whatever, like, okay. You know what I mean? So we have to shift that mentality from go, go, go to pacing yourself with what your body needs. And after really stressful weeks or days of no sleep or whatever, it's important to pull back. Is really, really important, because even if you're not sleeping, you're telling your body, we're going into a rest state, not an arousal state. And so even if that's just listening to music or reading a good book or having your kids play quietly, any of those things will basically, you're telling your body to lower the cortisol. So that's something that can be helpful too, but you might have to kind of play around with it and see what works and pay attention to those like micro shifts, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, Carly?
I love that you took a bath, because even if you're not, seeing like a lot of immediate results, as you continue to do these things over time, it's like you taking a bath before bed is you telling your body like, okay, it's time to rest now. It's time to sleep now. And so I just encourage you to continue incorporating those things into your bedtime routine that actually communicates to yourself like, hey, I'm going to be going to sleep soon, so it's time to wind down.
It's true. And this is something that I remember, especially at the very beginning, because I would have 2 weeks of insomnia before my period. So literally 2 weeks out of every month that I didn't fall asleep until like 5 or 6 in the morning. One of the things I would force myself to do was rest when my daughter was resting. And it meant that my house was a disaster most of the time. But it was like, I'm not going, like my cortisol will not come down if I don't, because it's in this constant, like heightened state. And so it was frustrating because it's like, I'm doing all the things to go to sleep at night. And that was before I had put some of the hormone pieces together. But still, it was like, no, I'm still training my brain and my body that right now is resting time, not waking time. And even if it's not giving me the payoff of a full night of sleep yet, it's still, like Carly said, training my body. This is a time of rest. And so it will eventually shift. And right now, this is kind of like symptom management as we're dealing with the root causes. So it will eventually get to that place where you're not managing it anymore.